Before I played for the money, I played for the love. Before I played for the fame, I played for the joy. Deion Sanders' words embodied his remarkable journey, backing them up with extraordinary achievements in both baseball and football. In the next 12 minutes, you'll discover how Sanders transformed from an underdog to a dual-sport icon. How did his relentless drive and unbridled swagger turn him into a sports revolution? This is a tale of sheer determination and unprecedented talent. A man who played professional baseball during the day and football at night. The stats, the style, the swagger. This is the full story of how prime time changed sports forever. Before the lights, the fame, and the swagger that would define his career, Deion Sanders was just another kid with big dreams from the hard streets of Fort Myers, Florida. But there was always something different about him, a spark, a determination that set him apart even when nobody was looking. Growing up in the Pine Manor neighborhood, a cluster of weathered homes where sirens often drowned out children's laughter, Deion's childhood was defined by struggle. His mother, Connie Knight, worked multiple jobs to keep food on the table, cleaning hospital rooms by day and taking on whatever additional work she could find by night. For young Deion, watching his mom's exhausted frame collapse into their worn couch became both his motivation and his pain. The contrast between his home life and that of his teammates was stark. While Sanders wore the same clothes multiple days in a row, he watched teammates arrive in new outfits with parents who were doctors, lawyers, and business owners. This disparity stung so deeply that when wealthy teammates would ask about his mother's profession, he'd fabricate something, rather than just admit she cleaned hospital rooms. This shame crystallized into purpose one fateful evening when Deion was just 7 years old. Seeing his mother return home bone-tired from another double shift, he made a promise that would shape everything to come. "Mama, you'll never have to work another day in your life when I make it." The look in his eyes showed a conviction beyond his years. These early struggles fueled a fire that would soon ignite on the sports field. At Fort Myers High School, Sanders dominated with a natural ability that seemed almost supernatural. Monday through Friday, he terrorized opposing defenses as the starting quarterback. Weekends found him blasting home runs on the baseball diamond. During track season, he'd leave competitors in his dust, setting county records in the 100-meter and long jump. Excellence across every sport he touched. Deion's path hit a significant obstacle in his junior year when, despite being the star quarterback, his high school coach kicked him off the football team for skipping practice to participate in a baseball showcase. That dismissal transformed his already solid work ethic into something extraordinary. "Getting kicked off that team was the best thing that ever happened to me," Sanders would later reflect. "It taught me that talent isn't enough. You need discipline, and you need to make hard choices." Rather than sulking, he doubled down on training, waking up at 5 a.m. to run sprints before school, lifting weights during lunch breaks, and practicing his footwork until sunset. While his peers slept in on weekends, Sanders ran bleachers with ankle weights. When they hung out after school, he studied game film. His personal mantra became, "If you look good, you feel good. If you feel good, you play good. If you play good, they pay good." A philosophy that would carry him beyond the boundaries of Fort Myers. By senior year, college recruiters couldn't ignore the three-sport phenom dominating in Florida. They would arrive to scout another player, only to find their attention captured by Sanders' electric performances. One recruiter famously said, "I came to see the running back, but I left wanting the cornerback." Sanders handled the recruitment process with unusual maturity, asking pointed questions about playing time, opportunities for multiple sports, and graduation rates. This calculated approach earned him a scholarship to Florida State University, where he would compete in football, baseball, and track. But more significant was what Sanders carried from Fort Myers, a hunger born from watching his mother's struggles, resilience forged through rejection, and the understanding that extraordinary achievement requires extraordinary commitment. That scholarship to Florida State wasn't just Deion's ticket out. It was the stage where a master plan would unfold. While his peers were focusing on playbooks, Sanders was crafting something far more valuable than athletic ability alone, a persona that would transform how athletes market themselves forever. In the 1980s college sports landscape, most players let their game do the talking. But Sanders recognized early that talent alone wasn't enough. You needed something more to stand out in a crowded field. During his sophomore year at Florida State, Sanders made a discovery that would change everything. After researching NFL salaries, he realized defensive backs were among the lowest paid positions in professional football. Even the best cornerbacks earned far less than offensive stars like quarterbacks and wide receivers. For a young man who had promised his mother she'd never work again, this presented a serious problem. "If I'm going to be the best defensive back," Sanders later explained, "I need to be the most highly paid. If I want to be paid, I need to be known." This discovery was the spark that transformed raw talent into a marketable brand. In his dormitory room, Sanders began workshopping what would become the prime-time persona, a flashy, confident, larger-than-life character who commanded attention. The gold chains, high-stepping celebrations, memorable quotes for reporters, and customized uniform alterations all formed a deliberate strategy, ensuring cameras followed him everywhere. Sanders even practiced his signature moves in front of mirrors, perfecting the swagger that would become his trademark. Sanders' coaches at Florida State initially pushed back against his flamboyant style. Head coach Bobby Bowden tried reining in his star players' antics, but Sanders was building a brand. When he arrived at the 1987 Florida State game in a white stretch limousine wearing a tuxedo, sports media generated national headlines, exactly as he planned. What made this strategy brilliant was that Sanders had the talent to back it up. During this time at Florida State, he became a two-time All-American, intercepting 14 passes, including 3 in-bowl games. His punt return skills were equally remarkable, averaging over 15 yards per return with 3 touchdowns. In 1988, he won the Jim Thorpe Award as the nation's top defensive back. The primetime persona was supported by extraordinary performance. Beyond football, Sanders excelled in multiple sports at Florida State. He hit .331 in baseball during his junior year and was named to the Metro Conference All-Star team. On the track, he helped the Seminoles win conference championships. This multi-sports dominance amplified his growing legend and marketability. By the 1989 NFL Combine, Sanders' reputation preceded him. Some scouts worried his theatrical personality might disrupt team chemistry, but those concerns evaporated when he clocked a blazing 4.27-second 40-yard dash. Even more impressively, Sanders reportedly showed up, ran only once, then put his shoes on and walked out saying, "I'm done. I came to run a 4.3. The Atlanta Falcons selected Sanders 5th overall in the 1989 NFL Draft, making him the highest drafted defensive back that year. The New York Yankees had drafted him in the 30th round in 1988, and he made his major league debut in May 1989, months before his first NFL game. When he signed with the Falcons, Sanders negotiated a then unprecedented $2 million signing bonus. Sports marketing executives recognized what Sanders had created, an entertainment commodity. Before playing a single professional snap, he'd already secured endorsement deals rivaling veterans with years in the league. When critics questioned his approach, Sanders responded with what would become one of his most famous quotes: "They don't pay nobody to be humble." While the NFL celebrated the creation of primetime, sports experts were about to witness something they unanimously declared impossible. In an era when professional athletes were becoming increasingly specialized, Sanders planned to dominate 2 sports simultaneously at the highest possible level. "Lots of guys played 2 sports in college. I'm going to play 2 sports as a pro," Sanders told reporters after being drafted. This declaration flew directly in the face of conventional wisdom. The modern sports landscape was too competitive, too physically demanding, and too specialized for anyone to excel at both baseball and football professionally. The skepticism made sense. Bo Jackson had attempted the baseball-football combination earlier, but hadn't reached elite status in both simultaneously. The training regimens, overlapping seasons, and different skill sets created a challenge comparable to becoming fluent in 2 languages while everyone else mastered just 1. Sanders' dual-sport journey officially began on September 5, 1989, when he crushed his first Major League home run for the New York Yankees against the Seattle Mariners. Just 5 days later, he scored his first NFL touchdown for the Atlanta Falcons on a 68-yard punt return against the Los Angeles Rams, a perfect announcement that Sanders was redefining what athletes could achieve. His schedule was superhuman. While NFL players recovered in the offseason, Sanders played 162-game baseball seasons. When MLB players conditioned in February and March, he recovered from football's physical toll. He toggled between baseball's everyday grind and football's weekly violence, playing through injuries that would sideline most athletes. In 1992, Sanders hit .304 for the Atlanta Braves while earning a Pro Bowl selection with the Atlanta Falcons. Sports scientists were baffled by his ability to maintain elite performance despite dividing his training time and recovery between sports. October 11, 1992 stands as the ultimate testament to Sanders' dual-sport prowess. That morning, he played cornerback for the Falcons in Miami in a 21-17 loss to the Dolphins. Immediately after, he boarded a private jet to Pittsburgh, arriving at Three Rivers Stadium for Game 5 of the National League Championship Series. Still wearing eye black from the football game, Sanders entered as a pinch runner in the 9th inning. "Football is my wife and baseball is my mistress," Sanders explained. "If my wife kicks me out, I'm always going to have my mistress." His baseball abilities peaked during the 1992 World Series against the Toronto Blue Jays. Despite minimal baseball practice during football season, Sanders hit .533 with 5 stolen bases. While the Braves lost the series, Sanders had proven he could perform at championship levels in both sports. The scheduling conflicts created constant tension. In 1991, Sanders missed Braves playoff games because the Falcons refused to release him. When the Falcons told him to choose between sports in 1992, he responded, "You're not going to tell me when I can see my mistress." This achievement made history. When Sanders' 49ers won Super Bowl 29 following the 1994 season, he became the only athlete ever to play in both a World Series and a Super Bowl, a crucial contributor in both championship events. Financially, Sanders revolutionized athlete contracts. He leveraged his two-sport status to maximize earnings, using baseball contracts as negotiating leverage for football and vice versa. He became the ultimate free agent who could command premium prices in 2 different markets simultaneously. By 1997, Sanders had made his point. Having conquered baseball's biggest stage and established himself as football's premier cornerback, he focused primarily on his NFL career. The dual sport experiment had conclusively answered the question. Yes, one man could indeed dominate 2 professional sports at the highest level. The NFL had never seen defensive fear manufactured quite like this. While Sanders' dual sport heroics filled highlight reels, it was his revolutionary approach to playing cornerback that truly changed football forever. Before primetime arrived, cornerbacks were football's unsung heroes, anonymous defenders whose success was measured by how rarely you heard their names called. Sanders flipped that script entirely. Traditional cornerbacks played a conservative game. Stay close to your receiver, don't get beat deep, and if you're lucky, maybe knock down a pass. Coaches preached risk aversion, preferring a short completion over surrendering a touchdown. Then Sanders arrived with a completely different philosophy. Like a chess grandmaster sacrificing a pawn to capture the queen, Sanders employed a psychological warfare against quarterbacks. He'd line up 8 to 10 yards off his receiver, a coverage cushion that would get most cornerbacks benched. This baiting technique practically invited quarterbacks to throw his way. They'd see the separation and believe that they had an easy completion. Sanders was counting on that. Exactly. Former NFL quarterback Troy Aikman described it perfectly. You'd see him give a receiver 10 yards of cushion and you'd think, that's an easy completion. Then somehow, he'd not only catch up, but arrive at the same time as the ball. Sanders' technique leveraged his supreme confidence in his recovery speed. While most cornerbacks feared getting beaten deep, Sanders knew he could make up ground on virtually any receiver. This allowed him to play with his eyes on the quarterback, rather than fixating on his assigned receiver. He read the quarterback's intentions and broke on the ball before the receiver even made his cut. In 1994, with the 49ers, Sanders intercepted 6 passes, returning 3 for touchdowns, despite teams actively avoiding throwing to his side of the field. Even when quarterbacks deliberately tried not to test him, he still created turnovers at an elite rate. Sanders had a controversial reputation regarding tackling. Critics pointed to his reluctance to engage physically as a weakness. Former NFL coach John Madden famously said, Sanders made business decisions when tackling opportunities arose. Sanders was unapologetic. I cover, you tackle, I'm not paid to tackle. He had a point. Teams signed Sanders for his playmaking, not tackling. His 53 career interceptions and 9 defensive touchdowns demonstrated his value. Sanders averaged nearly 30 yards per interception return, transforming defense into instant offense. Before him, cornerbacks were purely defensive specialists. After him, teams valued corners who could create scoring opportunities. His championship impact was immediate. In 1994, the San Francisco 49ers signed Sanders to a 1-year deal, specifically to win the Super Bowl. With Sanders shutting down one side of the field, they dominated the Chargers 49-26 in Super Bowl 29. The Dallas Cowboys promptly signed Sanders afterward. The result? Another Super Bowl victory following the 1995 season. Sanders remains the only player to win Super Bowls with different teams in consecutive years. Sanders' influence extended beyond his teams. As Hall of Fame quarterback Steve Young explained, game planning against Deion meant essentially writing off an entire side of the field. You'd literally tell your receivers on that side, sorry, you're not getting the ball today. His most lasting impact? Changing how teams valued cornerbacks. Before Sanders, cornerbacks were among the lower paid defensive positions. After he had demonstrated how a dominant corner could transform an entire defense, cornerback salaries skyrocketed. Today, elite cornerbacks command some of the highest defensive salaries, a direct result of the Sanders effect. While cornerback salaries exploded in Sanders' wake, the man himself was constructing something far more revolutionary than a new salary structure: the modern athlete brand. In an era when athletes were instructed to remain humble and stay in their lane, Primetime was hosting Saturday Night Live, recording rap albums, and turning his game day arrivals into fashion statements that rivaled his on-field highlights. Sanders transformed how athletes approached endorsement deals. His 1992 Nike campaign featured the slogan, "Primetime," showcased Sanders playing multiple sports, while MC Hammer's "You Can't Touch This" played in the background. The campaign sold Deion Sanders as a cultural product, not merely footwear. Similarly, his Visa commercial campaign made him a household name beyond football with the tagline, "Deion Sanders, he's everywhere he wants to be," perfectly capturing his omnipresence across American culture. These were strategic partnerships where Sanders maintained creative control, ensuring his personality remained authentic in even advertisement. The financial impact was staggering. By 1995, Sanders' endorsement income exceeded $10 million annually, nearly triple his NFL salary. This business model created a blueprint that today's athletes follow. Build your personal brand bigger than your team or even your sport. Like a comet blazing across a dark sky, Sanders illuminated a path for athletes to express themselves fully. His custom suits, gold chains, signature bandanas were deliberate brand extensions, covered extensively by mainstream media outlets that typically focus solely on athletic performance. If you look good, you feel good. If you feel good, you play good. If you play good, they pay good, Sanders famously declared. A statement about self-expression and self-worth in a sports landscape that often preferred quiet, differential black stars. Music became another extension of the Primetime brand. His 1994 rap album, Primetime, featured collaborations with Ice Cube, Hammer, and Too Short, peaking at 70 on the Billboard R&B hip-hop charts. Sanders performed on BET and appeared in Hammer's music videos, expanding his reach into entertainment spaces previously closed to athletes. What makes Sanders' brand building truly remarkable is that he constructed it without social media. Today's athletes have direct access to millions of followers. Sanders had to earn media attention through sheer force of personality. At a time when Michael Jordan carefully maintained a politically neutral image, Sanders embraced his full personality without apology. Deion's media savvy extended to his relationships with journalists. Sports Illustrated writer Rick Riley noted, "Interviewing Deion wasn't work, it was entertainment. He'd give you 10 quotable lines before you even asked a question." After his playing career, Sanders seamlessly transitioned to broadcasting, joining CBS's NFL Today in 2001 before moving to NFL Network. His coaching career at historically black Jackson State University from 2020 to 2022 brought unprecedented attention to HBCU football. When five-star recruit Travis Hunter shocked the college football world by committing to Jackson State in 2022, it demonstrated Sanders' continuing ability to disrupt established systems. His current role as head coach at Colorado has only amplified his cultural footprint, drawing celebrities including Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Snoop Dogg to Boulder. Through every career phase, Sanders has maintained control of his narrative while expanding his influence. The Primetime persona has evolved into Coach Prime, a natural extension of his brand that maintains his authenticity while adapting to his current role. When the story of Deion Sanders is told, it's not just about touchdowns and interceptions, it's about transformation. Primetime didn't simply excel at two sports, he fundamentally changed how we view athletes. His blueprint now lives in every defensive back who turns an interception into a moment of personal expression. Today's sports landscape reflects his influence. The athlete as a brand, the confidence to be authentic, the audacity to challenge convention. That's pure Deion. His legacy resonates in championships, statistics, and in every player who backs up individuality with excellence. The Primetime effect, the lightning rod that forever electrified the game.